Do you feel like your home doesn't convey peace, even after it's been organized? Maybe the problem is the colors you chose, and no one told you that. It may seem like an exaggeration, but there's something invisible in the environment where you live that's directly affecting your mind, your emotions, and even the way you sleep, think, or relate to others. It has nothing to do with the size of your home or the value of your furniture. The issue is the feelings your home awakens in you. And, believe me, this doesn't happen by chance. Have you ever stopped to think why certain places make you breathe more deeply, and others seem to make you more agitated just by entering? This is not just an impression. It is ambient energy. Your home may be carrying silent visual stimuli that your brain is interpreting as threat, stress, or fatigue. And one of the main villains, that almost no one notices, is in the colors that surround you every day. Depending on how the color appears in your space, it may be dysregulating your mind, increasing anxiety, and draining your energy early in the day. You may even think that the problem is in your lifestyle, at work, or in having too many tasks. But what if I told you that all of this is being aggravated inside your own home? The most curious thing is that most people don't even imagine this impact. He believes that keeping the environment clean and organized is enough to feel good. And when that doesn't work, frustration sets in. Why doesn't my house calm me down? Why do I still feel overwhelmed even after moving the furniture? What's missing? The answer may be in the walls, in the objects, in the combinations of tones that activate emotions without you realizing it. It's not just aesthetics. It's neuroscience applied to well-being. Your home should be your refuge, the place where your mind finds balance. But when you enter a space that conveys visual tension, even in a subtle way, your body reacts. And this process is almost automatic. You don't have to think, this color stresses me out. Your brain has already figured it out for you. It's as if the space is screaming, even in silence, and you feel it, in your body, in your mind, in your mood. Maybe you've already tried several solutions, plants, candles, new paintings, but without changing the emotional basis of the environment, colors, nothing really changes. And that's where the secret lies. There are tones that regulate the mind, that promote calm, focus, and a feeling of welcome. And there are colors that do exactly the opposite. Knowing how to differentiate between these is what separates a beautiful house from a healing home. And you can learn that now. So if you feel like your home isn't supporting you emotionally, that something is out of place, even though everything seems to be in place, stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to identify which colors are sabotaging your peace, and most importantly, how you can fix this in a practical, affordable, and transformative way. But first, you need to understand how all this really works, because what I'm going to show you now can change not only the look of your home, but most importantly, the way you feel inside it. Your home should be the place where you recharge your batteries. But what if, without realizing it, it is doing exactly the opposite? If every color, every wall, every detail is draining your peace and increasing that feeling of anxiety and constant tiredness. You tidy up, try to decorate, move furniture around, but deep down you still feel that something is wrong. And it's not your fault. Many people experience this same frustration. It seems like the house never feels light. And the truth is that this has nothing to do with mess or disorganization. It has to do with what you see, the invisible impact of colors on your mind, your energy, and even your emotional balance. Today, I'm going to show you how small adjustments to the colors of your home, simple and easy to apply with what you already have, can completely transform the way you feel in your own space. You will understand why certain tones increase your tension, and how to use the right colors to create an environment that truly welcomes you, renews your mind, and helps you live with more ease. You've already begun to see your home in a new way, and that's just the beginning. Real transformation happens in layers, and in the next few videos you'll learn how to use environmental psychology to create a home that heals, protects, and energizes. So take advantage now and subscribe to the channel. Here, you will learn how to transform every space in your home into an ally for your emotional well-being. Because living in an environment that strengthens you is not a luxury, it's self-care. Stay with me until the end of this video. What you will discover can completely change the way you feel, live, and reconnect with the most important place in your life, your house. Have you ever noticed how certain environments make you breathe more deeply, while others make you restless, even if everything is clean and organized? This happens because your mind is not only reacting to what is visible, but to what is felt. And the colors that fill your home are silent protagonists in this process. That grayish-beige wall that seems too neutral, the intense red sofa that you thought was vibrant at first, or even the bright yellow details that seem cheerful, they all carry meanings and stimuli that directly reach your mind. This has a name: color psychology. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. How the colors in your home shape your emotional state every day. Color psychology is not a subjective theory. It is studied and applied in areas such as marketing, interior design, mental health, and even in corporate environments. Behind each color, there is an emotional charge, a frequency of light, a cultural and biological association that the brain interprets automatically. The most impressive thing is that this happens even without your awareness. You enter a room and your body starts to respond. Heart rate, breathing, release of hormones. Your entire organism reacts to what your eyes see. And this directly affects your energy, disposition, focus, and well-being. Environments with warmer tones, such as red, orange, and intense yellow, activate areas of the brain related to alertness and action. These colors have the power to energize, to create a sense of urgency and agitation. That's why they're often used in fast food restaurants and store windows. They attract attention and speed up the pace. But indoors, where the idea is to rest, reconnect, and emotionally rest, these tones in excess can become triggers for exhaustion. It's not about avoiding them completely, but rather understanding how and where to use them. When you place an alert color in a space that should be calm, such as the bedroom or living room, you're creating an invisible tension, a visual noise that your mind has to process all the time. And that's tiring. It drains. It disrupts regulation. On the other hand, cool tones, such as blue, green, and lavender, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for calming the body, reducing blood pressure, balancing emotions, and promoting a sense of security. This is why hospitals and clinics use light blue so widely. It communicates tranquility and stability. When these tones are used in your home, in strategic locations, they help create an atmosphere of emotional balance. Your mind understands, even without realizing it, that that space is safe, that there you can rest, take a deep breath, disconnect from the external chaos. And all of this happens without a single word, just with the silent language of colors. Your home, in this sense, is an amplified emotional reflection. What's on the walls, the fabrics, the objects, and even the lighting contributes to your mental experience. A visually aggressive environment with saturated or poorly combined colors does not allow the mind to rest. Even with everything in place, with clean furniture and impeccable organization, the mind is still in a state of alert. And this explains why so many people, even after tidying up their entire house, still feel exhausted. Why peace is not only in order, it is in sensations. And the sensations arise, in large part, from the colors you chose to compose your space. It's no coincidence that you feel more productive in a room with soft green walls, or when you feel like retreating to a dark blue room with indirect lighting. These choices communicate something profound. They speak to your psyche, trigger memories, calm the mind, organize the inner chaos. Environmental psychology is directly linked to your well-being, and colors are the first layer of that experience. It's not about decorating pretty. It's about decorating with emotional awareness. Many people believe that in order to change the energy of their home, they need to invest in major renovations or expensive furniture. But the truth is that by adjusting the color palette of your space, you are already starting a powerful process of transformation. A simple, poorly positioned tone can be the source of that constant irritation. Likewise, the right color, used in balance, can be what you need to feel welcome when you enter your home. The impact of colors goes far beyond aesthetics. They directly affect your routine, your emotional health, and even the quality of your relationships within your home. The color you choose for your space can influence how you talk, how you eat, how you sleep. It's about quality of life. Have you ever started to notice that there is a hidden language in the colors of your home? A language that you may never have consciously heard, but that is being spoken all the time. Your mind listens. Your body listens. And that is why, When we talk about transforming the ambient energy, we cannot ignore this very fundamental layer. Your home is communicating with you. The question is, what is it saying? Maybe you've just realized this now, or maybe you've already felt something, but didn't know how to name it. The unexplained discomfort, the feeling of not fitting in, that something is missing even though everything is organized. All of this can be directly linked to emotional palette of your space. And when we talk about home as a refuge, we need to understand that refuge is not just a beautiful place. It is a place where your mind finds peace, where you feel whole. Colors are tools that build this refuge from the inside out. They structure the emotional silence that you seek at the end of a tiring day. The impact of this is daily. You wake up, and the first thing you see are the colors around you. They set the emotional tone for your day before you even have coffee. They can prepare you for calm or chaos. They can soothe stress or amplify your anxiety. That's why rethinking the colors in your home isn't a small detail. It's an essential step toward creating a lighter routine, a more balanced mind, and a home that truly supports you in every way. And if until now you thought that choosing a color was just a matter of taste, you're starting to understand that this choice can be the difference between living in a space that strengthens you or one that quietly drains you. And this brings us to an even more important question. How do you know if the colors you choose are helping or sabotaging your peace? How do you identify the signs? What exactly should you look for in each room of your home to understand this relationship between color and emotional state? That's exactly what we're going to reveal next. Because transforming the energy of your home starts with visual awareness, and the next step is to understand which colors are robbing you of your peace of mind, and how you can make simple but profoundly effective adjustments to restore balance and well-being within your home. What if everything you feel in your daily life, the tiredness when you wake up, the difficulty relaxing in the late afternoon, that restlessness that appears even when everything is quiet, is coming from the color choices you made without realizing it? Your home, which should be a space for relief and reconnection, may be sending signals that your mind understands as alerts. And, as you have seen so far, these reactions are not random. They are a direct result of the way your environment communicates with your emotional system. Now that you understand the power that colors have over your well-being and your mind, it's time to take a closer look at your own home. Because it's one thing to understand the theory, and another to see it happening in practice, in the details of your own home. And that's exactly what you're going to discover from now on. How to recognize the signs that the color of your home is sabotaging your peace. Let's analyze together the main signs that something there is impacting your emotional energy, even without mess, even with everything apparently in order. And the best part, you won't just be left with the analysis. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you practical ways to adjust this. No complex renovations or expensive solutions. These are affordable, intelligent, and deeply transformative changes. Because when you adjust what the environment conveys, you also change how you feel. This is the difference between living in any space and inhabiting a place that takes care of you, welcomes you, and strengthens your inner peace every day. So stay with me, because what follows will open your eyes to details that were there all along, but that you hadn't noticed with this new perspective. And from that point on, each room in your house will start to make even more sense. You will understand, with clarity, what needs to change and where to start, because true transformation of the environment begins like this, with perception, with intention, and with conscious choice. Now, let's enter this new stage of the journey together. You are about to discover how to accurately identify what colors may be draining your emotional energy, and more than that, how to transform these same spaces into areas of reconnection, calm, and balance. Take a deep breath and come with me, because your home can still be exactly what you always needed to feel. You already understand that your home communicates with you all the time. Now is the time to decipher this silent language and observe what messages your environment has been sending to your mind on a daily basis. And to do this, we need to look closely at one of the most important elements of this communication, the colors that are present in your rooms. Each color has a specific impact on your emotional state, and some of them, even though they are popular in decoration, act as true saboteurs of your inner peace. They infiltrate your daily life in subtle but powerful ways, influencing your mood, your focus, your patience, and even the way you feel when you wake up or get home at the end of the day. Let's start by talking about red. Red is a very intense color. It is strong, vibrant, full of life, and extremely activating. Therefore, it has its place in projects that need to generate movement, attitude, and stimulation. However, when used excessively in the home, especially in areas where the goal is to rest, relax, or have mental silence, it becomes a source of tension. Red activates the sympathetic nervous system, the same system responsible for putting us on alert, as if we were about to face a challenge. This means that, when spending time in an environment dominated by this color, your mind remains in defense mode. Your body reacts as if it were in constant preparation, and your energy is quickly consumed. This is why environments with a lot of red tend to make people more irritable, impatient, and even physically tired, even if they are not making an effort. The constant stimulation prevents the mind from lowering its frequency and resting as it should. Next, we have strong yellow, that vibrant tone that many associate with joy, creativity, and positive energy. In fact, yellow is a color that draws attention and has the power to visually illuminate a space. But what few people realize is that, when used in large quantities, especially on walls or in environments where people spend a lot of time, yellow can overstimulate the brain. This means that it keeps your mind in a state of constant activation, almost as if it were always on, and this causes fatigue. It may seem contradictory, but an excessively yellow environment can have the opposite effect of the expected joy. It can cause anxiety, visual discomfort, and over time, mental exhaustion. And most often, people do not associate this discomfort with the color, the feeling of being mentally tired, even after a good night's sleep can be caused by choosing an inappropriate palette that overloads the senses without pause. Another set of colors that tend to have a silent impact are dark gray tones and beige without contrast. These colors are often used to create neutral and sophisticated environments. However, when they are applied without balance, without elements that bring life, texture, or variation in tone, what happens is a visual apathy. When the mind looks at a space where everything is monochromatic and has no emotional breathing space, it becomes discouraged. It is as if the lack of contrast also erases the feeling of movement, stimulation, and connection with the present. This type of environment tends to generate a constant feeling of stagnation, as if nothing is evolving. It is common for people who live surrounded by this palette to feel that the days seem the same, that there is a lack of energy to change, to start something new, or even to feel enthusiastic about the little things in everyday life. And finally, all white, a classic in decoration, seen as a symbol of cleanliness, lightness, and spaciousness. Yes, white has important qualities, but when used in an absolute way, that is, when the entire space is dominated by this color, with no contrast, no visual warmth, no points of comfort, it starts to generate a feeling of coldness. All white tends to depersonalize the space. It can make the house seem impersonal, distant, almost as if it were a hospital environment. This weakens the emotional connection with the space because the human mind needs visual warmth, references that communicate welcome and presence. When the space is excessively white, it is common for the person to feel disconnected from the space, as if it were not really theirs. This directly impacts the sense of belonging and weakens the regenerative effect that the home should provide. What all these colors have in common when used in an unbalanced way is the emotional blockage that they cause. Each in its own way, they interfere with your ability to rest, concentrate, and feel welcomed in the space where you live. And since this interference happens silently, almost invisibly, it is very common for people to spend years feeling exhausted, unproductive, anxious, or disconnected, without ever suspecting that the problem is literally written on the walls. The good news is that once you realize this, it is possible to change, and change begins by recognizing the signs, observing how you feel in each room of your home, remembering how you chose the colors. Did you choose because you liked the color, or because you thought it was the safest option? Did you choose based on what you saw in magazines, or based on how you feel when you come into contact with a certain shade? Did you consider the amount of time you spend in each room and the kind of feeling you would like to experience there? Because the way you feel at home matters a lot. Your home is the base of your routine. It's where you recharge your batteries. It's where your body and mind rest. That's why, when we talk about color, we're talking about emotional health, quality of life, and self-perception. Each color communicates something. And the emotional balance of your environment depends on how these messages are being received by your body every day. Understanding this is like opening your eyes to a new way of looking at your home, a way of looking at things that goes far beyond aesthetics, that respects your individuality, your history, your emotional cycles and needs. A way of looking at things that understands that your home can be a constant source of strength and reconnection. But for that to happen, it needs to be aligned with how you feel, what you need, and how you want to live. And all of this leads us to a new question. If these colors, used incorrectly, have the power to take away your peace, what colors can restore this balance? How can we create an atmosphere that not only prevents emotional exhaustion, but that truly renews, inspires, and welcomes? The next step of our journey will answer exactly that, because understanding the colors that steal your tranquility is essential, but discovering those that restore your well-being is what will make all the difference. You have just seen clearly something that, for a long time, was hidden within the walls of your home. And now that this vision has been activated, it is as if you begin to perceive your space with new senses. Colors, which previously seemed to be just an aesthetic choice, are now revealed as elements that influence your routine, your mind, your cycles, and even the way you feel time passing. There is much more involved than simply liking or disliking a color. There is a silent, emotional impact that shapes your well-being without asking permission. And it is precisely at this moment that many people identify with this, because when you hear all this, your memory is activated. You begin to remember how you feel in certain rooms, that constant feeling of tiredness, the difficulty in relaxing, or even a slight anguish that never had an explanation. Now you understand. Your home is telling you something, and you have started to listen. So to turn this awakening into real action, write in the comments, "My house transmits peace," because this is the first step to giving new meaning to your environment, naming what it makes you feel. By doing this, you connect with other people who are also in this process. And more than that, you begin to transform, with awareness and intention, the energy of your home. After all, your home speaks to you every day, and now it is you who begins to respond. You've already started to see your home differently. You've started to realize that colors aren't neutral, they're not harmless, and they don't just stay on the walls. They invade your senses, permeate your routine, and silently shape the way you feel. The emotional language of your environment is now clearer to you, and now it's time to discover a new, lighter path, more coherent with what you want to feel inside your home. Because just as some colors drain your energy and create tension, there are others that bring exactly the opposite: emotional comfort, mental balance, and a feeling of true well-being. Colors that silence internal noise, that help the mind breathe and transform your home into a space that regenerates, welcomes, and heals. We start with olive green and other natural tones, which are true allies of the mind. These tones carry the energy of the earth, the living vibration of plants, the ancestral memory that being close to nature is safe. When green enters a balanced environment, it transmits an immediate feeling of connection. The brain understands that that space is healthy, stable, and reliable. Olive green, in particular, carries depth and softness at the same time, which makes it an excellent color for living rooms, offices, and even bedrooms. It calms without weighing down. It cleans without cooling. It is like opening a window to a forest, even in the middle of the city. It transmits emotional stability and promotes the feeling of presence, of really being there, with body and mind. Incorporating green into elements such as fabrics, cushions, paintings, or even small decorative objects is like planting roots inside your home. And roots are exactly what maintain balance. Another color that supports this same well-being process is light blue. This is one of the most studied colors in environmental psychology, precisely because of the direct impact it has on the nervous system. Light blue acts as a visual calming agent. It reduces the respiratory rate, stabilizes blood pressure, and generates an immediate feeling of tranquility. The brain associates blue with clear skies, crystal clear water, and the vastness that inspires and relaxes. And when you include this color in your environment, whether on a wall, a bedspread, a curtain, or in art, you give your mind a break, a space to breathe. Light blue conveys serenity with lightness. It is ideal for bedrooms, bathrooms, reading rooms, and even kitchens. It invites soft focus, that mental state in which you concentrate effortlessly, in which the mind works fluidly and without tension. The presence of light blue inside your home is like a visual reminder that everything can flow more calmly, with more lightness, with more emotional clarity. Continuing with this palette that promotes comfort, we need to talk about soft terracotta and warm beige. These colors not only visually warm the environment, but also warm your emotional state. The terracotta tone has an almost therapeutic effect. It evokes the warmth of the sun at dusk, the solid earth, the silence of old houses, and the natural rhythm of things that grow slowly. When softened, this tone transforms into a color that envelops, that gives body to the space and offers shelter. Warm beige, on the other hand, brings an undertone of stability and receptivity. It is the type of color that communicates emotional security, like a visual embrace. When used together, these two tones create an atmosphere that invites rest, intimacy, and introspection. They are perfect for living rooms, hallways, bedrooms, and common areas. They are colors that create a feeling of refuge, where time seems to slow down, and the soul finds a space to organize itself in silence. And among the colors that promote emotional balance, light. Lavender plays a special role. It acts as a true relief for the mind. This delicate tone carries traces of blue and violet, and it is precisely from this fusion that its power is born. It inspires spirituality, serenity, and contemplation. Light lavender has the ability to calm racing thoughts, relieve accumulated emotional tension, and open up internal space for mental rest. It is extremely useful for those who live with high levels of stimulation, rush, noise, or excess demands. Inside the home, lavender works as an invitation to self-care. It transforms any space into a setting for self-care. When present in the bedroom, it helps induce deep relaxation, favoring the quality of sleep. When it appears in bathroom details, it brings the idea of a personal spa. In offices or reading nooks, it stimulates reflective thinking and organizes feelings. Light lavender is, without a doubt, one of the softest and most powerful colors you can choose to restore peace within your home. These colors, olive green, light blue, soft terracotta, warm beige, and pale lavender, form a palette that speaks directly to your emotional well-being. They don't have to dominate the entire space. They can appear in small portions, in subtle details, in points of light, in textures. What matters is the intention with which they are chosen and the effect they have on your internal state. Incorporating these colors into your home decor is more than an aesthetic choice. It is a practice of emotional care, a commitment to your mental health, and to creating an environment that truly supports everything you want to experience. Each of these colors activates a part of your emotional system that yearns for peace, inner silence, and lightness. And when you start to integrate these choices into your daily life, the transformation doesn't just stop at your appearance. It affects the way you wake up, the energy you feel when you return home, the type of conversation that takes place in the room, the way you connect with time, with rest, with yourself. The right color, used with intention, has the power to reorganize the invisible, to take care of what you feel, even when you don't have words to explain it. And this is the next step in your journey, transforming this new perspective into practical action, observing the rooms with this awareness, and understanding where and how to include these colors that sustain peace, that welcome emotions, that allow rest, and that restore balance to your mind and your routine. Because your home has this power. It can be more than just beautiful. It can be therapeutic. And now you are starting to build that path, one detail at a time. You have already begun to transform your outlook, and that in itself is a huge step. From the moment you recognize the influence that colors have on your emotional state, something changes. Your home begins to be seen with more intention, more presence, more care. And this movement alone begins to change the energy around you. Feeling this impact and realizing how small details can provoke such profound sensations is something that deserves to be spread, experienced by more people, taken to other homes. Therefore, by liking this video, you reaffirm this transformation that has already begun within you. You show that you have chosen a new path, that of awareness, lightness, and acceptance. Each like is a silent sign that more environments can become refuges. More people can find well-being in the spaces they inhabit. May your gesture now also be a point of light in this movement. After all, When you feel this change happening in your own home, sharing it with the world stops being an option and becomes a way to multiply what is good. You've probably noticed that the colors in your home speak to your mind, influence your mood, your energy, the way you rest, and even how you feel when you wake up. Now that you're aware of this, an inevitable question arises: what to do with all this? And the answer is simpler than it seems. You don't need to change all your furniture or start a renovation. Transformation doesn't require major construction or radical changes. Real change begins with the details, because they are the ones that silently build the emotional atmosphere of your home. And when these details are adjusted with intention, the impact can be profound. The first thing you can do is observe the visual points in your home, those places you look at the most throughout the day. The living room, the bedroom, the space where you work or relax. Choose one of these rooms to start. Look at it with this new perspective you have just developed. What colors are predominant? How do they make you feel? What is this space saying to you every day? From this observation, you can start adjusting the surface elements, which are easy to modify and have great transformative power. Changing the cushion covers, for example, is one of the quickest ways to change the emotional palette of a room. Go for tones that communicate warmth and calm, such as olive green, light blue, soft lavender, or earthy tones that bring depth with lightness. Cushions are like subtle touches of care. They don't take up much space, but they fill the space emotionally. A conscious choice of color can transform a sofa from a point of tension to a place of rest. Another element that deserves attention is the curtains. Many people see curtains as just protection from light, but they are true, vertical paintings inside the home. They are large surfaces of color and texture that are always within reach of the eye. Replacing them with fabrics and natural light tones, with movement and soft presence, can change the way the light enters the room and how your mind reacts to that space. Curtains in warm beige, soft green, off-white, or light lavender work as an emotional filter. They allow the room to breathe, and with it, your mind breathes too. Paintings and wall objects are also powerful allies in creating a new atmosphere. And the most interesting thing is that it is not necessary to fill the walls with a lot of information. All you need is a focal point with intention. A painting with a light blue background, an image of nature in neutral tones, an abstract art with lavender and soft beige. These elements are not there just to decorate. They are there to communicate, to visually remind you that this space was designed for your calm. And the impact of this is daily. Every time you look, at that point, your mind understands. This is a place of rest. Another effective and practical solution is to paint a single wall. Choosing a feature wall in a room, the one behind the sofa, bed, or dining table, and applying a balanced color is an affordable way to completely change the mood of the space. An olive green wall conveys depth and stability. A soft terracotta wall warms the room with emotional elegance. A grayish blue wall brings serenity and modernity. Painting just one wall changes the perception of the entire space and creates a new visual anchor point for your well-being. In addition to colors, lighting plays an essential role in creating this new energy for your home. And the good news is that this can also be adjusted with simple actions. Try swapping cold light for warm lighting. Bulbs with a color temperature between 2700 K and 3000 K create an immediate feeling of coziness. Warm light, combined with a balanced color palette in the room, intensifies the perception of coziness. It softens contours, reduces visual rigidity, and promotes calmer mental states. A simple lamp with amber light, strategically positioned, can change the way your brain understands that space. And don't forget the smaller objects, which seem like details but play a fundamental role in the emotional language of the home. Vases, blankets, rugs, lampshades, jars, books. All of these elements can be used as pops of color. They are like individual words that, together, form a visual narrative. By choosing each one with attention to the emotional palette you want to build, you create a coherent sensory story that fills your day-to-day life with presence and lightness. A light blue blanket on the armchair, a beige ceramic vase on the table, a soft moss green rug at the foot of the sofa. Small gestures, big changes. When you start to consciously adjust these points, your environment responds. It starts to communicate something else. Tension lessens, breathing slows, the mind finds support, and you feel it on every level, in the sleep that improves, in the conversations that flow more gently, in the feeling of coming home, and feeling that this is, in fact, your resting place. Because well-being does not happen by chance. It is built, detail by detail, with intention. This process of visual and emotional transformation does not require large investments. It requires presence. It requires connection with what you feel. And it requires courage to change, even if it starts at the edges. Because by changing the edges, you are already moving the center. Small visual choices that, together, create a new vibration within your home. Your home will gradually reflect this new moment, and you will start to live a routine that is more connected to what really matters. Your inner balance, your emotional peace, your mental health, in harmony with the environment around you. This is the beauty of caring for your home with emotional awareness. You don't impose transformations. You build with ease. You allow the space to evolve along with you. And, in this movement of practical and intentional care, the home stops being a stage and becomes the protagonist of your healing, your strength, and your restorative silence. And now that you know where to start, there is a universe of possibilities waiting for you in the next rooms, in the next touches, in the next choices, because your home is alive, and it responds to every gesture that arises from what you feel. Now that you have experienced in practice the power that small adjustments have to transform the energy of your home and your mind, imagine what can happen when more people wake up to this same perspective, when other homes begin to breathe lightness, presence, and well-being through choices as accessible and conscious as the ones you have just discovered. Sharing this video is more than a gesture. It's a link in a chain that starts in your environment but reaches many others. It's like turning on a soft light in several homes at the same time. A silent invitation for other people to also reconnect with their spaces, restore calm within their homes, and realize that well-being is within their reach. Your choice to share could be the starting point for the transformation of someone who, until now, only felt tired and didn't know where it came from. May this care that you have started now inspire many others. Spread this new way of looking at the home and help build with us a more welcoming atmosphere in many other corners of the world. This transformation begins with subtle details, but the impact is revealed in the deepest layers of life. And to understand how this really happens, just look at real stories, like that of Emily. She lived in a small apartment, which was well decorated to visitors, but which for some time no longer seemed as welcoming as it once was. Although everything was always clean, tidy, and organized, there was a constant feeling of restlessness. The room seemed cold, her sleep was light and fragmented, and her mind remained racing until late at night. Emily, I had a routine of turning off my cell phone early, drinking tea, reading, doing everything right to relax. But something still seemed out of place. It was as if the house itself didn't give my body permission to rest. That was when she realized that the walls of the room, painted a stark white and decorated with dark gray details, gave off a sterile vibe. There was no warmth, no softness, no refuge. It was beautiful, yes, aesthetically modern, but emotionally empty. It felt like being in a very neutral environment that said nothing, and that weighed on her. Emily, I had heard about color psychology before, but I always thought it was more about marketing than emotional decoration, until he started observing himself within the space where he spent most of his day. With the new outlook, he decided to start with a small change. She bought a lavender blanket, 2 cushions in soft earth tones, and a lamp with warm light to replace the white ceiling light that lit the room coldly. After a few days, something started to change. The lighting gave the feeling of a hug. Lavender soothed thoughts. The room seemed to breathe more slowly, and with it, Emily also. The anxiety before going to sleep, which was constant, began to subside. The body relaxed more easily. Sleep came deeper, more restorative. Instead of waking up tired, she began to feel her body more present, more willing. All this with 3 simple changes, but chosen with emotional intention. The next step was to paint a single wall. He chose a tone between lavender and grayish blue, delicate and serene. And this time, when I finished painting, it wasn't just the environment that changed. Emily, she cried, because for the first time, she felt that that room was truly hers. It was a space that represented who she was now, someone who needed silence, lightness, tenderness. The wall, which had previously been just a white, impersonal plane, became an emotional anchor, a visual reminder that she deserved to rest, that there was space, inside the house and inside her, for calm to settle in. The following nights were different. Emily. He started falling asleep earlier, woke up less often during the night, and noticed that his dreams were lighter. Stress, which once seemed like a constant companion, was no longer as present at the end of the day. And this change did not come from medicines, nor from long therapies. It came from home. It came from visual language that was reorganized with intention and care. This is the power that environmental energy has over our mental health. Emily learned that a house can be a mirror of what we feel, but it can also be the starting point for what we want to feel. She began to pay attention to each room. The kitchen, previously full of vibrant red accents, has been softened with moss green objects and light wood utensils. The dining table received a central arrangement with dried flowers and terracotta tones. The room gained a light blue armchair near the window and a new curtain in warm beige, and the effect was immediate. The entire house became an extension of the peace she sought to build within herself. And the most beautiful thing about all this is that Emily, she wasn't looking for a magazine home. She was creating a real home, a place where she could breathe deeply when she walked in, where her body wouldn't be on alert, where her mind would feel every day that it was a safe space. And that's what she built. With small gestures, with conscious choices, with attention to what her own energy was asking for. The result was more than visual. It was emotional, it was intimate, it was transformative. This story is not an isolated case. Many people live in spaces that, without realizing it, are draining their energy, accelerating their thoughts, and weakening their ability to relax, because the environment speaks. And when the language of colors is misaligned with what you need, the effect spreads throughout your daily life. The mind does not slow down, the body does not rest. The day ends and begins without the necessary pause. Therefore, when you start to reorganize your home based on the psychology of colors, you are, in fact, reorganizing your emotional health. You are offering your body and mind a new type of support, a space that respects your limits, that understands your cycles, that favors internal silence without requiring effort. And every change, no matter how small, creates this new scenario. The color of the wall, the tone of the light, the choice of cushion, the fabric of the curtain. Everything matters, everything communicates, and when everything starts to speak the same language, the language of well-being, your day flows differently. You wake up feeling more energetic. You work with more clarity. You return home feeling that this is your refuge, and that is priceless. That has value, life value. This type of transformation shows that the path to a balanced mind passes through the space you inhabit, that it is not necessary to reform the structure, but rather to restructure the intention. Every choice, every color, every light that you bring into your home can function as care, and care transforms. Emily discovered this, and now, this same path is opening up before you. The next step is yours, and it begins with the way you look at the environment where you live, and with the courage to transform, with ease, what this environment can offer to your peace. Now that you have experienced, in practice, how the colors that surround you directly influence your emotions, your energy, and even your quality of rest, it is time to take a closer look at the spaces around you. Which room in your house has been crying out for change? Which space do you notice no longer speaks to your inner state? Write here in the comments which part of your house bothers you the most emotionally. This will help you raise awareness and, at the same time, inspire other people to see their own spaces with more truth. This transformation has already begun within you, and when you like this video, you recognize the value of this process. This simple gesture is like a bridge. It brings this reflection to more people who also need an environment that welcomes, regenerates, and cares. And if you feel that this content truly touches you, that this channel offers you more than information, that it awakens in you a new way of living in your home, then it makes sense for you to be here. Subscribe. Being part of this community is choosing to walk with greater awareness, more balance, and more well-being within the most important place in your life, your home. And if you want to continue expanding this perspective, the next video is waiting for you. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to look more lovingly at the space that shelters you every day. Every comment, every gesture of interaction Every conscious touch that you apply to your home is part of something bigger, a real change that starts within and overflows outwards. And never forget, your home is an extension of your balance. Take care of it, and it will take care of you.